Hey Akhin, Liv, and all you future facilitators out there. Let's jump right in. Today, we are building the blueprint for your proposed workshop LGBTQ2S+ and the Intersectional Experience, Wellness and Recovery. You've proposed a truly brilliant online workshop series designed specifically by and for LGBTQ2S+ individuals who are navigating mental health and addiction recovery. This explainer is going to show you exactly how the rich academic and therapeutic sources we've gathered actively support and honestly completely elevate your foundational ideas. You know, the core philosophy here is simple but powerful. Lived experience is our greatest asset. Think of this explainer as your practical training manual. It bridges your original collaborative learning college proposal with the deep academic frameworks you're going to need to lead with absolute confidence. You are stepping into the vital role of facilitators, and this guide will equip you with the expertise to transform that lived experience into actionable resilience for everyone in your sessions. So here is our roadmap. We've got 1, the peer-led ethos, 2, resilience frameworks, 3, defining identity and intersectionality, 4, modular agenda and activities, 5, managing group dynamics, and finally 6, sustaining collective care. All right, kicking things off with Section 1, the peer-led ethos, moving beyond the clinic. Instead of that typical, honestly kind of sterile clinical intake approach where people are treated like problems to be fixed, your workshop uses a de-colonial ethos. It's a massive shift. We are treating queer and trans identities not as deficits, but as deep wellsprings of natural resilience, or, as your curriculum beautifully phrases it, ordinary magic. Establishing narrative sovereignty is absolutely crucial here. In Singh's text, she emphasizes that giving individuals the right to define their own truths is what helps them safely separate their core self-worth from all that external noise. Just think about the exhausting, instant gratification loops of digital validation in modern dating app culture. You are giving them the power of self-definition back, firmly anchoring them against those societal headwinds. Moving right along to Section 2, Resilience Frameworks, the Wheel and the Roots. So Annalise Singh's Queer and Transgender Resilience Workbook really anchors your curriculum. As you prep your reading for the coming months, pay close attention to Part 1. Singh explicitly outlines that defining the LGBTQ+ self isn't just a one-off event. It's a foundational, lifelong act of self-determination. It is literally the core of her resilience wheel. You'll use this framework to show your participants that resilience isn't some rare inherited trait, but a dynamic set of skills they can actively develop. And this builds directly into intersectionality. Your approach seamlessly integrates concepts like the racial healing wheel from Singh's other foundational works. It's an amazing tactile tool that allows participants to visually map out their strengths. They can pinpoint specific spokes of resilience to develop, deeply acknowledging how things like race, culture, and immigrant experiences intersect directly with their queer identities. There's this fantastic insight from Kulpitz and Gehigen that acts as a massive validation for the core direction of your proposal. It explains exactly why your instinct to incorporate pluralistic, alternative recovery lenses, like Eastern mindfulness and Indigenous Two-Spirit frameworks, is so essential. You're deliberately moving away from the standard Western emphasis on extreme individualism to build collective, culturally grounded community resilience. Which brings us to Section 3, Defining Identity and Intersectionality. Just imagine the power of an online room where a participant actively writes and then reads aloud their very own manifesto of self. You'll be walking them through the Centering the Self activity where they quite literally call themselves into existence against the backdrop of marginalization. It is a powerful, tangible step to reclaim words that were once used against them and to fiercely challenge that pathologizing master narrative. To take this a step deeper, you'll utilize the identity recentering map. This is a reflective sorting exercise that allows individuals to identify which aspects of their multifaceted identity, whether it's their race, their spiritual background, or their gender, feel the most protective and empowering to them. The goal here is a real game changer. You are shifting the view of multiple identities from being multiple sources of stress to being multiple sources of power. Hey, before you launch, you definitely need to prioritize a deep dive into the Haynes and Dale research. They show us that mapping intersectional identities isn't just a fun icebreaker. It is critical, heavy-lifting therapeutic work for racialized LGBTQ2S+ individuals who are facing multiple layers of minority stress. Your online space is going to be the safe container where this complex grappling can finally happen. Okay, let's get into the structure. Section 4, Modular Agenda and Activities. Your interactive modular design is honestly so flexible. You can seamlessly weave together self-reflection, theoretical learning, and tactical peer protocols in every single module. You start by building trust through shared lived experiences, move straight into the core teachings from the workbooks, and then immediately apply them in small, supportive group discussions. For instance, take the angel and ghost reframe exercise drawn from Diane Aronsoft's concepts. This is a brilliant cognitive tool. Participants consciously learn to treat social discrimination like unclean air. Honestly, it's like treating an unsolicited, bigoted opinion the exact same way you treat someone violently coughing in an elevator. You simply choose not to breathe it in. You externalize those critical voices as ghosts and replace them with affirming angels. Then, for your module on body sovereignty, you'll introduce Sonia Renee Taylor's 4 pillars. This is the ultimate tactical framework for pushing back against systemic body terrorism. As Taylor so fiercely points out, we have to take out the toxic, change our minds, take unapologetic action in our bodies, and extend fierce collective compassion to our entire community. All right, shifting gears to Section 5, Managing Complex Group Dynamics. Let's raise the stakes for a second. How do you handle a participant expressing deep internalized stigma in real time, right there on a live Zoom call? During highly vulnerable small group discussions, people might use heavy defense mechanisms or present their trauma as just a matter-of-fact Tuesday. You've got to be ready to react immediately with trauma-informed care. Well, here is your toolkit. The absolute core technique here is pedagogical displacement. This means you immediately validate the emotion as a completely normal response to an oppressive system, rather than pathologizing the individual. You literally displace the blame back onto the systemic distortion. Then you ask deep dive questions, like, if you could speak to that younger version of yourself, what would you say? To gently challenge those internalized norms. And for your prep reading, make sure you look deeply into Brodsky and Cagnano's transconceptual model of empowerment and resilience, specifically their chapters outlining intrapersonal action. When you're managing group dynamics, you have to remind yourselves that a participant's sudden anger, frustration, or resistance isn't a disruption. It is actually a valid, incredibly powerful expression of their resilience against an oppressive situation. Harness that energy. Finally, we have Section 6, Sustaining Collective Community Care. Laura van der Lipsky points out something profound. Fighting isolation is a form of trauma stewardship. That means it's how we sustainably care for ourselves while caring for others who are experiencing systemic trauma. Make sure you stress to your cohort that the ultimate goal of mapping out localized families of choice is to break chronic isolation and foster a beautiful microculture of pure accountability and love. So you've got the theoretical grounding, the modular structure, and the tactical tools. But Akhin and Liv, I leave you and the entire cohort with this final thought. As you prepare to guide others in reclaiming their narrative sovereignty, how will you consciously nurture your own ordinary magic before you launch? Prioritize your own radical self-love and deep reading preparation right now. Because when you nurture yours, you will undoubtedly spark it in your community.